What I do remember were Dave played intermediate, I think it was intermediate A or AAA baseball for Knoll Road. I was much younger. At that same time, he was actually coaching, trying to promote baseball in our area. And I was one of the first group that he tried to promote in baseball. So Dave was a very good baseball player, was a very good pitcher, and Dave was very competitive.
Yeah, so Dave and I probably go back about 30 years. I was the president of Bedford Minor Baseball, also working with Baseball Nova Scotia, coaching the provincial teams back then. Some kids from the Hants, Rawdon area were coming out for the team, certainly interested in talking to their coaches and that. So that's where I first kind of reached out to Dave.
My aunt called Dave Wiseman, asked him if I could join the team. He said, well, they were kind of full. It was kind of getting to the deadline in a few days. It was in August. And but he said, meet me at the Rawdon Gold Mines ball field. He hit me, I think, 3 fly balls. I caught them, threw them in. He called me in right away. So he just looked at me, he goes, well, we have a host league team and a rep team. He goes, I coach the rep team. I'd like you to play for the rep team. So that's kind of how it all began between Dave and I.
He's a fiery individual, baseball background, but fiery, very, and that intensity, that hard work ethic that those individuals brought, I think is also a testament to the way Dave was.
When we left these tournaments and stuff that we played in, the comments that would be made by the parents, the coaches, all that about how Rawdon Minor Baseball presented themselves on the field, off the field. It was hustling on, hustling off. If you ever walked on a field with Dave Wiseman coaching you, you'd be sitting on the bench. And there would be no questions asked. It wouldn't matter what talent level you were. It was about respecting the game when you got on the field and when you're around the ballpark. So Dave really made our community look good by teaching his young kids to act with mannerism.
Also his profession, he was a teacher, so he understood and had a passion for youth. He took that passion for youth, the passion for the sport of baseball, put it all together and blended it together, and had this growing desire to provide for the young people in the community.
He even got involved in basketball with the youth, his own kids when I was away. He was one of the first to start minor basketball, which wasn't even his sport. So to do something like that, he got softball going. He was big in badminton. He was just always involved in the community. Dave was just there for the kids mainly. One of the most remarkable things about Dave was his involvement with the youth, just with the young baseball players that he developed in the Rawdon Gold Mines area. The one area where he took a midget age group from Rawdon Gold Mines to the national championship, which is probably unheard of nowadays, where you're going against the big cities and stuff.
We get to midget. Very first year we go AAA. Doesn't happen very often, or back then it didn't, for a small community like that to go AAA. We go down to national eliminations, where we face off against the best teams in the province. And so this little town from Rawdon comes into this tournament, and I think it's Sunday. We had to play Dartmouth, so we end up beating Dartmouth. So we go in the championship game against Halifax. It's 5-3 in the bottom of the 7th. And then we get that final out. This means we're going to nationals. A team from Rawdon, unheard of. It was in the papers and everything. It was the biggest underdog story in baseball in Nova Scotia. Oh, Rawdon being at the Nationals, the guys were just ecstatic, obviously. A lot of these people haven't been out of Nova Scotia, let alone we went to Winnipeg for Nationals. And we did great there. Well, I mean, we lost out against Quebec 2-1 in order to get to the medal rounds. It was just quite an experience for us. I know it was quite an experience for Dave and quite an honor for him. And I mean, he got these kids to where they went. So My personal story for Dave Wiseman is that, well, I was a trouble kid coming up through, and he heard that. So when I started playing ball for Rawdon, like, he just worked at making me a better person, and so he convinced me to come to school out here as well, because I was kind of battling, like, getting in quite a bit of trouble and stuff. So I come out to Hants North because he convinced me to come out here and we'd get things on track. And so when I'd be in school, Dave would come around, because he was the principal, so he'd come around and he'd check classrooms or out in the hall in case you get kicked out, and he did this with plenty of his ball players, kind of thing. And in the end, I spent a lot of time with Dave. He actually ended up taking me in when I was, I think, 15. So I'm very close with all his sons. We're like brothers, obviously. And like I said, Dave had 4 boys of his own, and for him to take in another one was pretty special. And so I was living with Dave, which behind every person that's like that, there's got to be quite the spouse as well, which Heather is just, in order for Dave to be at the ball field for that often through the week, through the weekends, like, she was pretty incredible too, and she was the same way. The two of them were the same in school, everything. They always seen the people that were maybe struggling a little bit and kind of took them under their wing, and pretty incredible people.
I think it makes you feel good. When you help others, I think it generally makes people feel good about themselves. It gives you a strong purpose, creates loyalty. And I think for myself, and I think Dave, you get to build relationships with people, and you meet special people along your path, right? And I think that's what it's all about. People that coach for 30 years, it's all about building relationships. And that's why I think we do it. And I think that's why Dave Wiseman does it.
With Dave pushing me to be the best person I could be, the best athlete I could be, and presenting myself the best way, I went to Prairie Baseball Academy, Lethbridge, Alberta. I went there for a little bit, and then after that I continued on to Ulster County and played college baseball there in New York. I mean, he led me to a lot of good things in life, and now I got a family and built a home, and I have a little boy and a little girl, so I'm sure Dave's going to be around and going to help me out with them too. So it's been a good ride with Dave Wiseman, I'll tell you that.
Dave Wiseman definitely made a difference. He made a difference in a lot of youth in our community. He still keeps in contact with them. He made a difference in my life. I think he's made me a better teacher. He's made me a better coach. He's taught me a lot of positive life skills. He also taught me about being loyal and loyalty, how important that is. So yeah, Dave's definitely made a difference in the community.
Dave really cared for all the players that he coached. And as anybody that coaches, it's not only about developing the player, but developing the person. And you know, every person that I've spoken to that has had the pleasure of playing for Dave over the years talks about him with great admiration, and I think that is really what sets it apart. When you know that 20, 30, 40 years down, as they and they still appreciate what you did for them when they were a young person, that tells you everything you want to know about what influence that individual's brought to that person. This kind of puts it all into perspective of all the time and energy and volunteer hours that he put into the community, the youth. It's kind of now come to this, and that's tremendous.
I'm very excited for Dave. He deserves this. A lot of people might not know who Dave is, but anyone around the baseball and the sports area definitely know who Dave is. He's just a very loyal man. He's a great person. He's a great teacher, he's a great educator, and he's a great family man.
I don't want to dismiss anybody because everybody has their particular people, but when I think of East Hants, there's nobody else that comes to mind than Dave Wiseman.
Yeah, Dave, I'd just like to say congratulations. There's no one that deserves this honor more than you. You've affected so many lives coming up through, and thank you on a personal note for me, and thank you from everybody else that you've encountered over the years through baseball and everything else. Thank you.
2023 East Hants Sport Hall of Fame inductee, Dave Wiseman.